Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. And it's my pleasure to welcome Mr. Gaurav Gupta, Principal Secretary, Department of Biotechnology and Science and Technology, Government of Karnataka. Mr. T. Parabrahman, Ms. Past Chairman, CI Karnataka. Mr. Vishwesh Patmanabhan, Partner and Head Digital Consulting, KPMG. And Ms. Shalini Pillai, Office Managing Partner, KPMG Bangalore. I would also like to welcome you all to this seminar on artificial intelligence and blockchain for efficient public service delivery, which is the second among a series of seminars being organized by Ananta Center in partnership with KPMG as our knowledge partner. Ananta Center is a non-partisan trust based in Delhi that works to build a society led by values, dialogue, and debate. Many of you may not be familiar with the work this trust is involved in, and the trust mainly working through three verticals is foreign policy, that is foreign relations, leadership, and public policy. It identifies and nurtures a wide community of leaders and gives them platforms where they can help address critical issues and positively impact society and the nation. In the same spirit, we have convened this gathering of intellectual and experts here today to discuss two of the most critical technological innovations of the day, artificial intelligence and blockchain. And these two technologies are the most talked about topics in the field right now. And as such, very little is needed by way of introduction. Ananda Center's objective of organizing this seminar is in threefold. First, it is to educate and spread awareness regarding emerging technologies so that a wider cross-section of people may take advantage of these technologies. So the journalist, and not only the specialist, may be able to comprehend these highly technical issues. Among our midst today, we have representatives from industry, mainly from non-tech industry, manufacturing sector, NGO, academia, and government. Second, our objective is to convene innovators and thought leaders so that progressive agenda concerning these technologies may be developed and shared widely. In fact, today's seminar includes a series of case study presentations designed to highlight the application of AI and blockchain to the betterment of public service delivery, application which will serve to enhance the quality of life of the many. Apart from the case study, we will also engage in a panel discussion on the application of AI and blockchain. I feel the panel discussion is of tremendous value because we expect it will be a conversation not just between the panelists, but among all of us gathered here today. Thirdly, with KPMG India as a knowledge partner, Ananda Center will publish a white paper concerning the use of AI and blockchain for efficient public service delivery. I must therefore request all the participants to share their perspective and feedback with the panel today, so we may incorporate your suggestions and opinions in a document which will be shared widely with the objective of improving day-to-day experience of citizens in their interaction with the government and with the public service delivery agencies. We are extremely happy to have with us today Mr. Gaurav Gupta, Principal Secretary, Government of Karnataka, who has taken several initiatives such as AI for Good, Elevator, developing ecosystem development for innovation and R&D to share his experience and perspective with us. We are thankful to you, sir, for sparing your valuable time to be with us here today. Since inception, Ananda Center has encouraged frank and open dialogue on the most important issues facing Indian society, to foster its transformation by engaging with key stakeholders and serve as a convening body for the exchange of ideas, broadening perspective and enhancing capacity to create sustainable solutions on a wide variety of issues. We look forward to an active deliberation about this important topic in today's seminar. Once again, thank you all for joining us for this conference today. With these opening remarks, may I now request Ms. Shalini Pillai, Office Managing Partner, Bangalore, and KPMG Bangalore, to deliver her remarks. Thank you.
Thank you so much for that, Staridas. Appreciate it. It is a pleasure and an honor for us to partner with Ananta Center on this series of talks that they're organizing. This is the second of a series of 5, and on topics rather, that are extremely critical and important given its influence in the world that we're living in today. What we are here to discuss, to clarify, to demystify are two very significant contemporary technologies. Much has been spoken about it. In fact, they're almost become cliched terms. One hears of AI, blockchain, ML, deep learning, all of these, with common man using them quite synonymously. It's important for us to spend some time making sure we understand the technologies, the implications thereof, because they certainly are disrupting the world that we're in today. In fact, to quote Stephen Hawking, who said that in the next 100 years, computers will overtake man. And I think one may question whether it's 100 years or even sooner, given the pace at which technology is progressing. And hence, when that happens, one really needs to make sure that the goals of these computers are aligned to our core objectives. If one reflects on that, it's actually very important to understand what is it that this technology is out to solve. Quite often, we see a lot of technology initiatives where the outcome could be questioned. And we must talk a little about what is the core objective, what is the customer experience one is looking to enhance, what are we actually all trying to solve here, and that problem needs to be challenged at its core as we look at these technologies and what they have to offer. Today, and from a KPMG perspective, we sit at an interesting cusp that goes across the private sector, across the public sector, across working with regulators to influence and shape the future. In the private space, there is a lot that's already being experimented and done with. If we look at the public sector, several pilot projects pretty much at every state, and Mr. Gupta will talk to us more about some of the fantastic stuff that the government of Karnataka has embarked upon. Several initiatives, in fact, they've created an ecosystem that encourages new ideas, that encourages research, and that's absolutely critical for these technologies to flourish and get embedded in the way we do our work going forward. But when we look at this cusp, as we look at public-private partnerships and the coming together to solve for India's problems going forward, these are technologies that are going to be the most significant in influencing our future. Lot of numbers get floated around. One talks of AI and artificial intelligence contributing 1 trillion by 2035 to the Indian economy. You hear of blockchain investments to the tune of 20 billion already, just in terms of investments that have gone in, and more. These are just numbers, and you could see a range and a spectrum of numbers that get published. The point is the significance of what this is doing, and in very, very core spaces. Areas of education, areas of healthcare, infrastructure, and smart cities. Pretty much every field you touch today is being disrupted by technology. And hence, when we look at reflecting over the course of the day today, we're going to have an opportunity to hear many eminent speakers, experts talk about their perspectives, use cases. I think critical for the public services segment to look at how they can adopt, learn, and embrace this technology. What will be critical in my view, and especially because if you look at the common citizen, the common man in India, he is exposed to fast-paced technology on his handsets at one end, and then sometimes is underwhelmed with what the public service system offers him. How does one manage that dichotomy? How do you help, hence, create that citizen experience, keeping that customer at the core of it? And that ought to be the focus and the approach going forward. Like I said, focus on the problem we are trying to solve, enhance the experience. And there's also threats around what is this going to do to headcount? What is this going to do to a country where employment is key? Honestly, the way one needs to look at it is it needs to build on, it needs to enhance that talent pool and not replace. If you look at some of those tenets, and if we get that right, It's all about how are we going to embrace the change, because it's not a matter of time, it's already here, it's hitting us in every dimension, in every sphere. So how do we embrace that change and make a success of it? India has a phenomenal opportunity, just given its size, scale, and what the nation can do in terms of talent, to actually be at the forefront of what it can take to the globe. And I think this platform is a fantastic one for us to come together, think this through, talk about challenges that one sees, and what does one need to do differently to really make sure that the public services platform embraces this as beautifully as the private sector has managed to solve for some of India's largest problems. On that note, I'd just like to thank the Ananta Center for allowing us the opportunity, for creating as fantastic a platform to really talk about solutions where I think there is a need to understand them better and to understand the implications of these technology disruptors. Please enjoy the rest of the session today, soaking in as much as you can, and also engaging and interacting with the panelists, asking your questions and sharing your points of view. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Shalini. May I now request Mr. Vishesh Padmanabhan, Partner and Head Digital Consulting, KPMG.
And thank you, Shalini, for your comments. I'm delighted to be here for two reasons. One is that this is an important forum. It's a good forum to exchange ideas, and as our previous speaker said, different points of view, but also for us to take stock as to where we're at and what our progress is. So that's the first reason. The second reason is more personal. And this hall brings back fond memories for me, because 33 years ago, my wife and I had our reception here. So this is a great coincidence. I'm delighted to be here this afternoon. This inaugural discussion today is about artificial intelligence and blockchain, both phenomenal technologies. The explosion of emerging technologies has changed the way we connect and communicate. In 1969, 500 million people watched the landing on the moon. In 2008, 2 billion viewers tuned into the Beijing Olympic ceremony, the most watched TV event of all time. Until the last decade, it was seemingly easy to get people around a television set. And if it was a popular program, then we had a huge audience. And the owners of the distribution of that information were able to make significant and huge profits. But if you look today, we produce over 2.5 quintillion bytes of data every single day. And considering that 90% of the world's data has been produced in the last 2 years, that is a huge number that is increasing. Aside from that, Google currently processes 40,000 searches every second. That is about 3.5 billion searches per day. And we watch 4.2 million YouTube videos every minute. And we tweet 460,000 times per minute. So two things are happening. Volume is increasing, but the challenge is, how do you take advantage of that data and provide meaningful insights and value to economy, value to businesses, and value to society, most importantly, and people, citizens. Deep learning and machine learning are increasingly becoming a part of our lives. This level of connectivity and data explosion, like AI and blockchain, play a very significant role. In fact, we encounter AI every day in our daily lives. Think of the time that you've been recommended a book by Amazon, or Netflix has suggested a movie for you to watch. This is all based on AI and various algorithms that are looking at patterns and comparing patterns domestically and in other geographies, and then coming up with recommendations. Artificial intelligence is helping expand the spectrum of human cognition and capabilities. AI will contribute to easier and better living. Adoption of AI in public service promises to increase productivity through efficiency. Governments around the globe have recently acknowledged the potential for AI. And as governments collect more and more data, the need for solutions to drive true value also increases. AI in conjunction with big data and analytics can deliver the baseline value that go beyond traditional solutions to find deeper insights that I referred to earlier. The very fact that government workers are often following a set of rules, a policy, and a set of procedures already presents many opportunities for automation. Machine learning will make it cheaper, it'll make it faster, it'll reduce the error rate, increase the throughput and volume and capacity. And Shalini talked about the investments. Artificial intelligence has potential to offer over 15 trillion to the global economy by 2030. So there is a significant investment that will happen. Given its fast-paced rate of change, it's no longer a question of whether AI will disrupt our lives. The real question is how fast and how radical that change will be, and whether we'll be prepared to take on that change. Maharashtra Sales Tax Department, GST Department, is one of the early adopters of analytical tools. Department went digital electronic in 07, 08. This led to a collection of huge data, but the challenge was how to analyze that data to get a bird's eye view. So they profiled taxpayers with the help of business intelligence tools through compliance, registration, demographic data. They had insights, trends, and patterns on filing returns, which led to identify erroneous returns with an accuracy rate of 80% back in 2012. And every year that accuracy rate has increased, and now it is above 97 to 98%. That gives certainty to taxpayers, and it gives confidence to government as well. Microsoft has started working on smart farming and smart healthcare projects throughout various governments in India. The company is helping farmers with small parcels of land, placing IoT sensors in the fields, running artificial intelligence algorithms to ensure high crop yield. Company has done some AI testing with farmers across various states in India. And as part of the test, these farmers have received automated text messages and automated voice messages informing them about various aspects of their crop: pest attacks, salinity, waterfall, and crop stage of maturity. Police force has started taking an increasing interest in crime analytics using big data. Delhi police have partnered with ISRO to develop an analytical system called Crime Mapping Analytics and Predictive System, CMAPS, which helps to ensure internal security, controlling crime, maintaining law and order, analysis of data patterns, and there are various collaborations with IIMs and IITs in this area to further improve the policing and control of information. Enterprises are adapting to changing technology of pace, with AI and IoT entering the mix. Leading companies have to identify new models to stay competitive and to ensure that they're relevant going forward. A few months ago, you would have read in the press, 2,000 people fell ill in the US with an E. coli infection from eating contaminated lettuce. It took several weeks, in fact some months, to identify the source of this produce. With blockchain, this would theoretically take a few minutes. Very, very significant value and impact. Why and how? From the seed stage to the retail store, using blockchain technology and AI-enhanced technology, one can track the origin of produce primarily to address these very issues, and also for potential for increased improvements in yield. Blockchain is enabling greater supply chain visibility, helping brands and retailers to build trust with consumers about the provenance and freshness of their product set. Furthermore, the operational savings it could bring are quite significant. These examples are good for us to leverage here in India as it looks to uplift and modernize agriculture and allied industries. India's public sector is fast emerging as a large consumer of blockchain technology, for example. There are greater than 40 blockchain initiatives currently being consumed by government. Government is acting not only as a regulator, but as a joint partner with industry to innovate. And of the 40 blockchain initiatives, 92% are in the pilot and POC stage, proof of concept, and 8% are in fact in production and live. So there is a lot of lessons learned in the industry. Commerce Ministry has launched blockchain-based online marketplace for coffee growers to initiate Indian farmers into the marketplace. This e-commerce platform is designed to help farmers get a fair price for coffee, removing the middleman and increasing transparency and profitability into that particular sector. Indian consumers are also changing their outlook when it comes to consumption. Millennials and Gen Z are increasingly prioritizing their need to understand ethical production and to understand the source of the produce right to the shelf, so they can track and trace and make sure that farmers are getting a fair deal. And so we're seeing a lot of shifts in thinking and expectation of consumers, both in advanced economies, but also here in India as well. Government of Andhra Pradesh is working with Zebi Data for blockchain-based solutions in land registry. Government is also partnering with Hitachi to set up an online citizen governance platform. Rajasthan government has partnered with Mumbai-based Oxis Group to implement a blockchain solution in electronic health records and land registration. Assam government is collaborating with Nucleus Vision to help with blockchain solutions for governance process and other citizen-facing applications. And also here in Karnataka, there are a number of examples that I'm sure that our guest of honor will talk to us later on. Municipal corporations of Bankura and Durgapur districts in West Bengal have partnered with Netherlands-based company called Linked.world to build a blockchain-based platform for issuing birth certificates and land registry as well. So for such technologies to benefit, I'd like to highlight a few imperatives from our perspective as we look at the need to make sure that we embed and provide value not just to one sector, but across all sectors. Future-proofing of skills, very important. Ultimately, humans and bots will work together side by side. Some even say that bots will take over. My view is that many distinctive human capabilities will continue to be in demand. We will be creative, we'll innovate, and like previous waves of technology, we will find a place to make and manage and produce value in the way we live, the way we work and play. Digital disruptive technologies such as artificial intelligence, cloud, mobility, big data are causing radical shift in how we work and organize ourselves. The contours of education are changing, and when it comes to education, there is no second rung. It is global, and it's multidisciplinary, and it's collaborative. And so we need to make sure that going forward we're equipped to be competitive and add value not just here, but also globally. Because from a competitive point of view, many other geographies are also embracing this change and getting ready to future-proof their workforce. Simply put, there aren't enough skilled workers to fuel the future-driven economy. While some profess that AI and automation will fundamentally change the workforce and replace 40% of our working lifestyle in the next 15 years, others claim that humans will find new professions with new innovative skills. It is this type of work that will change and not the existence of work. In light of this trend, our point of view is integration of liberal arts with science, engineering, mathematics, medicine has the potential to improve educational and career outcomes for undergraduate and graduate students. To succeed in their careers, students need to examine the full breadth of human experiences in the education. A fusion of different disciplines and globally collaborative teaching broadens their perspective and expands their worldview in which to help address the bigger questions. The skills required for working with AI will be just as important as the skills required for working on AI. We need to recognize that children's education holds the key to India becoming an AI world leader. This demands a clear national strategy, including the training of teachers who are specialists in AI and the suite of emerging technologies. Economies such as Japan, Korea, Taiwan, even China, and of course more advanced economies are starting those syllabuses at a very young age at school. And the introduction of computer coding classes as compulsory education, I think, is going to be very important. Alongside, there must be a focus on lifelong learning, providing education that reaches beyond the school gates well after conventional school years. Recertification, reskilling of existing workforce in private sector, in public sector, is also going to be important to increase the supply of the skills required to embrace these new technologies. We need to make sure that everyone is ready for AI technology, create an environment where innovative startups can succeed, and also make sure that this is an inclusive technology that has economic benefits across the full spectrum. So, ladies and gentlemen, with that, I'd like to express my gratitude for the forum that Ananta Aspen has provided for us to have a free and open dialogue to discuss issues that are contemporary and issues that will provide opportunities in the future. Thank you.
Thank you, Vishesh. May I now request Mr. Parabrahmam, past chairman CI Karnataka, to deliver his address.
Good afternoon to all of you, and on behalf of CII, I welcome you all to the seminar. It was wonderful to hear Shalini and Mr. Padmanabhan giving an overview of what's happening in this very disruptive technology that's hitting all of us. The application of AI and blockchain, as Mr. Padmanabhan was saying, it's going from places to places, whether it's coffee or police departments, or it's invading every part of our lives. As a person who has been associated from the day I passed out from my engineering college in capital good industry till I retired a few years back, I would like to dwell a little bit on the fears and opportunities related to this core sector of India, that's the capital goods. We do not have to look, every time there's a change in technology, there's a great fear of loss of job, fear of loss of opportunity. There's a gloom whenever there's a change. I would like to go back in time when I was a young man, and I went to a very great institute of India that's called the Combat Vehicle Research Department at Chennai, old days Madras. That was the first time they showed me a machine which was what we call a logic-controlled machine. That means it was a computerized, but there was no microprocessor. The controller, the electrical cabinet, I do still remember very vividly, was as long as this hall and half this width. It took a long time going round and round to understand how it worked. That was in 78, 79. In 1980, my old company, where I was working, launched the first CNC milling machine produced in the country, which had those segment display, et cetera, and the cabinet was just the size of the Godrej cupboard. That was the reduction we'd made. I was involved in the first of the machines that was produced. When that machine hit the market, even our own company, labor union, said, is it going to get us out of the job? Because we started using them in our shop. In a very short time, those milling machines got replaced by products which will automatically change the tool. The tool changer came in. The controller became maybe a little bigger than A3, but unions adapted it to it. Today, ladies and gentlemen, the Indian machine tool industry, as I'm very much involved with even today, hardly produces those so-called milling and turning machines. They still produce. And there's nobody scribbling that there's a fear of loss of job. In other words, there's been a dramatic growth of jobs at all levels in the manufacturing space. Whenever there's a change, even this AI, blockchain, what we talk about, is going to have the same impact. If when we, in very manufacturing forums, we talk about Industry 4.0 and how it's going to do it. The key is, how do we gather data? How do we store data? And how do we use the data? It's not going to be easy on this portion because particularly in capital good industry, our practices and some of the equipments what we use are as old as me and you. Oh, sorry, I will not say you, as old as me. Maybe more than 60 years, many companies still use very old technology machines which are essential in the manufacturing processes. So with using such capital goods in your own shop floor, how do you integrate such machines into the total sphere of intelligence sharing? So then what is the new demand that's going to come up in this specific industry of capital goods? We are going to need engineers who have an extraordinary shop floor management expertise, and then we need people, the same people who go higher up to understand how to gather data, how to use different technologies of data gathering. If you see in the machine tool sphere, because I'll go back, today most of the machine tools, or some very precision machine tools, have so many sensors built all over the place in every part of the machine so that we gather data. Why do we gather data? To hope, with a hope that we can correct the fine changes that happen in the environment of machining process. Yeah, it's always a losing battle because when we talk about natural fibers like cotton or something like that, or man-made base materials like steel or cast iron or aluminum, they are not so stable or not so repetitively identical. They are not identical at all. There's always a variation. So the large amount of data that is being gathered today, whether it's in the die casting process or in the manufacturing process, is definitely improving what we call the ability to do a little better. So the manufacturing industry and the capital good industry is no different from whether it's many of the departments or many of the applications that is happening. No doubt in India, we are very slow, particularly the capital and good industry, are very slow on the startup stage of implementing any of these disruptive technologies, but they accelerate very rapidly after the stabilization. It has been proven over and over again. So I don't think there will be a major impact in the days to come on the human factor of the issue. Because as a shop floor man, I always look at the human factor, where how many people will lose their job. I believe that this rapidly encompassing technology that is invading us is only going to give us more and more jobs of a different type. I'm very sure this seminar is going to give all of us a lot of inputs, but the key takeaway should be for all of us is it's time for each and every one of us to first de-learn whatever we know and then relearn the new way. Otherwise, we'll be left out. With this small introduction, and I'm very sure that I heard that there are many people from the manufacturing sector here, so I would like to focus that no fears, let's go forward as we have always gone forward, and wish you all the very best. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Parabrahman. May I now request Mr. Gaurav Gupta, Principal Secretary, Government of Karnataka, our guest of honor for the day, to deliver his address.
Hello. Good afternoon. And let me first acknowledge the excellent efforts made by CII and also by Ananta Center and the KPMG to present these new technologies to you. I'm told that the audience here is not just tech, but also it is from the industry, it is from the service industry, it may be from the accounts people and NGOs and others. I presume that's the case, else you can always reach out to me, raise your hand, and then we'll try to know better. I'm just trying to structure my talk depending on the kind of profile of audience. Starting with these two technologies, artificial intelligence and blockchain, they are different technologies. They have been bracketed together in the seminar today, but they are different technologies. Blockchain is something else, artificial intelligence is something else. IoT is yet something else. There are cybersecurity, there will be machine learning, and each one of them is different. But these, the common denominator is that these are new technologies, and these new technologies enable you to do a lot of things. So it's now, in what manner can you apply these technologies? One can always, talk about. And whether they will have revolutionary change? Absolutely, they will have revolutionary change. Whether they will do it overnight or in 1 year? No, absolutely not. Whether that will happen in the next 10 years? Perhaps. The adoption will be 20, 30%, 50%, etc. over the period of time. Are we using it already? Yes, absolutely we are. Artificial intelligence is when your Google throws up news queries based on what you like to browse or what is there on your emails. And we all know about it, that they learn from the kind of browsing you do or kind of emailing you do. And machine learning is simple. We were talking to a friend of mine who returned from US, and they were in class 6. They were talking about what is artificial intelligence and what is machine learning. And they said, what is machine learning? The girl was asked by the visiting person from India, her uncle. And the girl says that, look here, if you just throw a ball and the ball rises to a certain level, so seeing that bounce of the ball, you can determine how high it will rise further. So that is called machine learning. I do not know whether that's the right way. I'm sure there will be pure people here who will talk about whether it's the right way or not. Artificial intelligence is when you have or something else she cited. Okay, fine. That we know this is the kind of food you eat. So if the kind of food, this is the kind of food you eat, so the next time we can predict that, look here, this is the kind of food you will like in the future. So there could be simpler ways of talking about these technologies, or there could be ways in which we try to make it as complex as they are. But frankly speaking, if we all use this thing called mobile phone, we don't really understand the technologies behind the mobile phone, and there are hundreds of technologies. If we use Google Maps, we don't really go into the deeper into how Google Maps were generated, but we go into how Google Maps can be used. And that's how I think the industry needs to have examples of how it can be used. And I'm sure that Bangalore is the place to be, where you can have applications, you can have use cases, and that is what I think we need to highlight and work about. AI and blockchain both will deliver public services faster, more efficiently, reliably. Blockchain, obviously, with the kind of immutable distributed ledger system that is there, can lead to a complete paradigm in which you don't need to have people who will certify and keep on going around. Any chain of things, it's triggered off, you can identify, and you can set up blockchain mechanisms by which you are able to reach out. So we had a program on blockchain last year, a blockchain hackathon. We identified 5 use cases. We were working at how, say for example, identity management, and how you can certify. Like for example, if you are in Karnataka, you will be talking about the caste certificates or the income certificates or the address proofs and the banks and the something else and all that. How all of it can be like woven into a blockchain system, and that can, you don't need to certify every time who you are, because that can be independently corroborated by a set of people, a set of computers, etc., and that gets established. We also looked into the issue of traceability of agriculture produce, into forest produce, say coffee produce, which was cited, and these solutions are getting developed. There could be more. There could be, say, for example, a vehicle certificate of a vehicle, etc. So all of this could be done, and are being done in various measures. We had people, speakers last year. After the hackathon, we had another blockchain conference, and we were talking about speakers who came from Netherlands and Dubai and other places, etc. And they were talking about how they have developed blockchains which are like partly public, partly private, and things like that. So these can give you solutions. They can enable, again, more authentic kind of transactions across the industry. It may be supply chain, it may be anything, and I think you need to have better speaker than me, although I am qualified as an engineer. I graduated from IIT Kanpur 1983-87, but after that I think I came into the public service, so not so much in touch with the technology, although Karnataka is always the center for hub and science and technology, and I coincidentally happen to be here at this point of time. So yes, artificial intelligence, excellent work. I'll talk about artificial intelligence now, and we have set up, along with NASSCOM, a center of excellence on artificial intelligence, and with the industry, Nipun is here, IBM is one of the ones which is leading it, and there are others as well. In the Center of Excellence that we have set up, completely funded by Government of Karnataka, which is close by in Diamond District, Domlur. So we are now talking about what can change things with the artificial intelligence. And we have identified two low-hanging fruit. One is agriculture, and another is healthcare. And these two are getting impacted like anything. There are startups that have emerged here that have gone into the issue of early detection of breast cancer, say for example, using artificial intelligence, okay, and better diagnostics using artificial intelligence, and number of other things, or non-invasive sugar level testing, etc., using artificial intelligence. So these are in the healthcare sector. In the agriculture sector, again, there are a lot of applications. Now these were debated in a program that was held very recently called AI for Good, that identified about 200 startups which were looking into the issue of application of artificial intelligence into these areas. It could be in education, it could be in environment, it could be others. And a very, very ready example which comes to our mind is a startup that we have identified using our scheme of grand challenges, which says that from any phone, take a photograph of any plant leaf, and that will lead to early detection of plant diseases, because what they have done is, by brute force method or whatever, they have millions of records and they can compare in real time and tell you, look here, this is the crop, this is the disease, and this is what needs to be done about it, and real time send your message across to a lot of people. And this is what is done by a startup called AgriNext, which is which we have funded, and which we have also which is also given work order by Indian tobacco companies, ITC and others in the crop of tobacco. So there are a lot of things which are there. I know that there will be people talking about these. But in Karnataka, we are working at few issues. One is incubation, another is funding. We are talking about venture funding or seed funding, which is non-venture and non-equity based funding. We are talking about and working on global partnerships. We are working on new technologies and centers of excellence. We have, for example, a school that we have set up, a center of excellence we have set up on cyber security with the Indian Institute of Science. With NASSCOM, we have set up centers. With the Indian Institute of Management, we are toying with the idea of having fintech kind of center that's in early stages. and on aerospace and defense, on agri innovation and all that. All these will use different technologies. And what I would like to say is that ultimately what matters is what is the problem that you are out to solve, because and which domain is it addressing. So by domain I mean that is it agriculture, or is it environment, is it energy, or is it something else. So what is the problem that you are solving and which domain it is, and then there could be a choice of technologies or a combination of technologies that could be used, which could be one technology or combination of 2 or 3, and that is best left to the system architects who could take it up. But will it change life? Definitely it would, and I'm sure that the kind of changes which I see in say the brick and mortar companies which Mr. Parabrahman talked about, and we have been working very closely with CII. I, in another hat, look after the commerce industries in Karnataka. So we know that all industries are getting ready for these new technologies. IoT-based manufacturing, or the Industry 4.0 is being advocated by a lot of people. Bosch, for example, is a very, very Bosch, Siemens, SAP Labs, they are very, very strong on this sector. And I'm sure that today's seminar and workshop would go a long way in building the kind of rapport and the kind of understanding, public understanding about these technologies. Thank you, Ananta Center, for calling representatives from all walks of life, and the CII for making it possible. Thank you.
Thank you very much, sir, for your address and setting the tone for the next 2 sessions. And we are extremely happy and delighted to learn the various initiatives being taken by the Karnataka government in using this technology for enhancing the public service delivery. Thank you very much. With this, we'll close the inaugural session, and we start with the case study presentation and panel discussion after. And there will be a 5 minutes break for just a session changeover. Thank you very much.